Thank you for joining us for another EAB lunch talk. We had some technical challenges, so apologies for the wait. This is the first EAB lunch talk in 2023. We've been doing this for a while now since COVID, and we intend to keep this up. Today's lunch talk will be provided by Emilio Mordini, which will be on ethics, biometrics, and AI, the good, the bad, and the ugly, why European Parliament's concerns are probably disproportionate. My name is Dino Prings. I am the CEO of the European Association for Biometrics, and I will be your host for today. Just a little bit of housekeeping for this lunch talk. If you have any questions, feel free to use the public chat area. We will get to your questions at the end of Emilio's presentation. Maybe nice for you to know, approximately 170 people signed up for this lunch talk. It will also be recorded, so if you're an EAB member, you can rewatch the recording and have access to the slides after the event. So just a brief introduction about Emilio. Emilio Mordini is an MD and M in philosophy, and he has 40 years of practice as a psychiatrist and psychoanalyst. During his professional life, he's been awarded with several research grants within the scope of the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th RTD funding programs and Horizon 2020, and by the NATO Science for Peace and Security program. Emilio pioneered international research on ethics for biometrics, launching in 2003 the FP6 project, BITE, which is short for Biometric Technology Ethics. He initiated 4 major international conferences on ethics of biometrics held in Europe, US, India, and in the People's Republic of China. Currently, he serves as a member of the CERES expert group at DG Home and chairs the ethical committee of the European Association for Biometrics. He has extensively published in international journals and edited several books. So Emilio, the floor is yours. I will stop sharing my screen now and over to you.
Good morning. I warn you immediately that you probably understood from my background, from my education. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an engineer, so I'm not going to speak either of European legislation or technical issues connected to artificial intelligence and biometrics. I'm take the opportunity given by the European Parliament resolution to discuss, to chat. It's not a matter of a university course, of course, about what artificial intelligence can do and can't do. Okay, I show you the usual copyright notice and the acknowledgement. The background is June 2021. The European Parliament adopted a resolution on the risk of algorithmic bias in artificial intelligence application, particularly in the context of policing and crossing borders. And the focus was on facial recognition technology. So they called for a permanent ban of a series of things. I repeat, it is not, they are not so relevant for my speech. And what is, again, instead interesting, what the rapporteur, Peter Widanov, declared to the press at the end. For the first time, we are calling for a moratorium on the use of facial recognition systems for law enforcement, etc. But the point was we stopped this very dangerous technology. This is a big win for all European citizens. And you can find the same concerns echoed in a resolution adopted in May 2022, so quite recent, on artificial intelligence. And also the Artificial Intelligence Act proposed by the European Commission, which is in the pipeline, will be probably still modified, but again, it is the framework of the next legislation on artificial intelligence in Europe. The same concerns have been taken on board. Now I'm going just to show you very quickly the technology that the AI Act proposes to ban outright, and those it considers to be very high risk, and so to be subject to very strict regulation. Prohibited artificial intelligence practices, you see, AI system deploys subliminal techniques, AI system employs any of the vulnerability of specific group, evaluation, classification of trustworthiness and of natural persons, real-time remote biometrics. Then you see high risk, and I can tell you that to be classified high risk means that it is very, very difficult, according to this act, to implement these technologies or to research on them. And the first one you see is biometrics identification and categorization of natural person, and then go ahead, it's a very long list you can see. Huh? So the question is, what could next generation of facial recognition do to worry so much member of the parliaments and commissioners? So, okay, you know probably better than me. I suppose that most of you are engineers or are more involved in research practices, real technological research than me, that I'm more a theoretician, more theorist. And facial recognition technology, basically the new technology, is based on face prints, which are numerical codes. And then they are elaborated through, not always, but chiefly through artificial intelligence algorithms. And these allow to recognize a wide range of information. A recent list that I found in the literature lists 12 different tasks that the new face recognition technology can perform. Face detection, face tracking, face landmark extraction, face spoofing technology, face identification, face verification, kinship verification, facial expression recognition, action unit detection, automatic lip reading, facial attribute estimation, and facial attribute manipulation. You can see each technology. For each technology, the role played by AI-based processing technology. You can look at this slide for yourself when they will be diffused. I think that they will be, the EAB will send them to those who are interested to the slides. So I repeat, a discussion, either both of the AI Act and the single technology, the tail of the technology, is out of the scope of my presentation. I would like only to point out that most of the applications banned and considered high risk in the list I showed you earlier are feasible with the facial recognition technology. They are facial recognition technology applications, basically. And each of you can verify this, this my statement now, that the concern behind this ban or this labeling high risk is based on the supposed ability of artificial intelligence to recognize human intention through thoughts, emotion, and through data extracted by biometric sensors. This is the untold assumption of all these concerns, that sooner or later, maybe it is not possible today, but sooner or later, this technology will read, to tell this in a very trivial way, will read the mind, human beings, people mind. This is also a worry, a concern which is shared by member of the parliament and the public opinion. People are scared by the idea that technology can read their mind. So as a psychiatrist and philosopher, I have many doubts about this concern and this assumption. Of course, it would take much more time than a lunchtime talk to discuss and to go into point by point on why I have this doubt. If you are interested, I wrote an essay a couple of years ago, and you can contact me, and I will be happy to give you this chapter if you are interested in all the philosophical and technological arguments I use to demonstrate, or at least to try to demonstrate my argument. What I'm going to do now is something which is more compatible with a lunchtime talk, which is not expected to be too long, too demanding, too boring. I hope not to bore you too much. And I will show you a synthesis, not all, but a synthesis of the most magnificent 15 minutes of the history of cinema as they have been defined. This is the finale of Sergio Leone's spaghetti westerns, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. There is a splendid soundtrack by Ennio Morricone, but we tried with Dinusha to find a way to let you to hear the music. I don't know we succeeded. If you can't hear the music, I beg your pardon. Probably you will lost. You don't lost the meaning, but we lost part of the pleasure of what I'm showing you. So the story is not important to us, but I hint at it just to give you the context. The Blondie, which is Clint Eastwood, is a professional gunman. Angel Eyes, which is Lee Van Cleef, is a hitman, and Tuco the Ugly is a wanted outlaw. They all know that the cache of gold is buried in a graveyard. Tuco only knows the name of the cemetery, while Blondie knows the name of the grave. Angel Eyes knows that they know the location of the gold. So we are at the very final of the movie. The good and bad and the ugly find themselves in the courtyard of the cemetery, where the gold is hidden. The blondie writes the name of the grave on a stone that he places in the center of the courtyard. He then challenges Tuco and Angelis to a duel, which is not a duel between two, between three, so it's called a truel, between three of them. The one who survives will take the gold. Okay, did you hear something? A bit of music? I hope. Okay, if you couldn't, yes. Okay, great. Someone heard. Splendid. Okay, there are three gunmen, A, B, and C. For each of other, they face each other in a duel. This is a triangle made by the three gunmen. And each of them must shoot the others, but each can only fire one shot at a time. So A must decide whether to shoot first, killing B, to shoot first, killing C, or to wait and see what B and C do. And the same happens to each one of them. So let us assume that all knows that this is the context, the scenario. And this is a table. We will not waste time discussing the different combination of this table. The first and the second, the first die, the second die. Okay, you can do it by yourself afterwards. What is the conclusion? That assuming that each gunman has the same probability of hitting his target, so there is no one who is more skilled. Each gunman may fire a limited number of bullets. They have not a machine gun. The three gunmen might shoot simultaneously or sequentially, and whoever shot first will kill his target. So you don't fail. This is the three assumptions. The first to shoot has 100% chance of dying. In this game, who shoots first will die, unavoidable. Because if A shoots B or C, the survivor, B on C, has time enough to kill him, and so on. The only strategy to halve the risk, not to minimize, not to cancel, to raise risk, not to win, but to halve the risk, is to deliberately wait for someone else to shoot and then kill them, provided that the target was the other player, it was not you. Otherwise, you die. When all three players know the trick, they enter a loop. None of them will shoot first, and the truel will never start. In theory, they will remain paralyzed forever, for the eternity, looking at each other. Okay. At the end, the good took a decision, made a decision. One of the most interesting aspects of this truel is the attention that the director pays to their characters' eyes. This is a trick to increase the tension, no doubt. But there is more to it than that. In a truel, everything is played out in the eyes. Remember what I told you. This is an experiment of reading human intention, which has not rational solution. You cannot calculate, because in principle, a truel, there is no winner. And the critical point, the crux, is the moment of the gates. What is the moment of the gates? It's a clot of tension, it's something that can explode in any moment. Borges, Argentinian writer, Oh, the essays that I guess many of you know, maybe read, expresses this concept in his poem, Doomsday. No hay un instante que no esté cargado con un arma. There is not a moment that is not loaded like a gun. The moment of the gates is not chronological time, is not longer duration, is an atom without a dimension. We enter in another dimension of time, stretched between waiting and haste, hesitation and urgency. It is the now that refers to a critical moment when something is ripe for action. Time. It is what the ancient Greek called kairos. So you probably have heard sometime this word kairos. Kairos means knowing intuitively the now. For instance, the now when a speaker must pronounce the right line to strike the chord that resonates with the audience. In Italian, another word for line is battuta, which means a beat. The moment when a musician must sax into the flow of music of jazz orchestra. It is not enough to know the right notes to play. You have to understand the timing, the moment in which you have to play your sax. The moment when the general must give the order to attack in a battlefield, the moment in which a trader must give the order to sell or to purchase in a stock market, the right moment when a lover must cast a glance at the beloved to make him or her fall in love. Again, if you are wrong about the moment, you can't succeed. Oh. Okay. This situation is called Mexican standoff as well. Let's reassume, let's synthesize a confrontation in which there is no rational strategies that allows either party to win. It can be only solved by anticipating and at the same time, simultaneously, retroacting time. What does it mean? Each player has to guess the move of the other and then decide his own move. But these two moments are not two chronological moments. They are not first one and after another one. They must become in the same atom of time, in the moment of the gates. You don't have time to reckon. It is your eyes, your intuition, which tell you. And this is exactly what artificial intelligence cannot do. Machine, including artificial intelligence, only know chronological time, which refers to measurable course of event. What really matters in life, instead, in human life, is timing. Always. We live in timing. We don't live in time. Of course, time is essential to take a train, to have a meeting. We need time for a lot of practical things for organizing our life in community. But decisions always, or almost always, are based on timing. So My conclusive remarks. Sorry, I've been very brief, as you see. We are already arrived to the conclusions. First conclusion, it is the most general one. Not everything real is within the reach of science and technology. It is somehow obvious, but it is important that all those who work in technology and science remind this statement. Because every now and then they should repeat to themselves, not everything is in the reach of our science. The most important things in human life cannot be grasped by technoscience. And in particular, the notion of instant, the now, which is essential to human beings. In our life, the now is fundamental, but it is alien to modern science. There is no experimental way of establishing it. The law of physics ignore it. Listen what Einstein told once to Carnap, who quoted him. The experience of the now means something special for man, something essentially different from the past and the future. But this important difference cannot occur in physics. There is something essential about the now which is outside the realm of science. Second, artificial intelligence, I told you, can work only with chronological time. It could minimize chronological time, of course, to infinitesimal duration. But at the end of the day, AI cannot get out of it. Based on the metastability problem, which is the state in which the circuit poses and becomes incapable of making any choice, I have argued elsewhere in the chapter I showed you earlier that the artificial intelligence impossibility of escaping chronological time, in practice of escaping the spatial representation, the spatial dimension of time, is structural, and it is not accidental. In other words, it cannot be overcome, even by much more advanced technology, unless they are based on completely different, today completely unknown and unthinkable principles. So either we invent a completely new science, can happen, but for now, artificial intelligence cannot overcome, cannot escape the slaveness of chronological time. I argue that this limitation prevents artificial intelligence from understanding and predicting individual behavior, because individual behavior in human beings, and maybe also in animals, or at least the mammals, is largely based on decision taken by intuition. Consequently, the concerns of the European Parliament are probably excessive, because they attribute to AI a capability it does not possess now, and in my opinion, will never be able to develop. Of course, working on big data, AI could predict behavior of group of people reasonably well. I'm aware of this. So my suggestion is to focus on political and ethical attention on processes of categorization, which are listed and are probably the most important political and ethical problem related to artificial intelligence, facial recognition technology, then to the unlikely nightmare of the use of artificial intelligence to read the minds of individuals. This is science fiction. It's not something which is in the possibility of this technology. I repeat, for structural reason, not because we are not able to do it now, but maybe in the future. No, no, no. We have to invent then a completely different science. Third. And now I want to tell you the third and most important lesson, which is a lesson full of ethical significance with important practical consequences for every of us, for everyday life. And while I tell you, I also give you the final of Sergio Leone movies.
Oh! You pig! You want to get me killed! When'd you unload it?
Last night. You see, in this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns, and those who dig. You dig.
It's all ours, bloody! Blondie.
Sorry, Dougal.
Blondie.
So this is the final lesson. If there is a son of bitch in a story, you should be careful, because he is always the good guy. And don't think it is a trivial lesson. It is an important one. Thank you for your attention. And now at your disposal for questions, comments, criticism.